Good morning everyone and welcome to another very early episode of Photo Snippets. Today I'm at Rießersee and it's early morning just after sunrise. There's this very small lake which has a nice view to the Wetterstein mountain range. I wanted to give it a shot and try to take a photograph of the lake and the mountains in the background. But that's not the only objective for today, the only goal. I wanted to go to Erwald, which is on the other side of the mountains, in the Austrian side. And there I'm gonna go up the mountain, and there are a couple of nice lakes there, so I'm hoping for a nice day of photography up there. But before I start on that, as I said, I wanted to stop here and see if I could get a shot of the sunrise. Then again, it was a long shot today because the weather forecast was already for I knew it was going to be hit or miss, so there was some chance that it would clear up, but it was forecasted that it was going to be cloudy at the beginning of the day. So I'm going to hang out here a little bit, see if it clears out, and if it does, then I'll take a photograph. Otherwise, I'll continue towards Erwald. So I'll talk to you in a while. The fog seems to be lifting a bit, so as expected. So I'm gonna grab the camera, see if I can get a couple of shots. Unfortunately, the mist closed in again, so I chose a very tight shot where I exclude completely everything above the mist line. And so I have a very tight shot, only the lowest part of the mountains and the trees and the lake. Still, the colors are very beautiful. And sometimes I'm using the ducks here as a foreground. I've got several shots. There's an option to get the camera lower down and include some leaves, but I have reflection here. So if I can do that, I need to bring in the polarizer. Now I put in a polarizer and a neutral density filter to make a longer exposure. The polarizer in order to take out the reflection from the water just in front of me, so that I can include these beautiful red leaves and give me a nice foreground. And neutral density filter so that I can get a 30-second exposure that takes all the ducks away now and makes the water very smooth and smooths out the mist a little bit as well, and that gives me a completely different look. And so this is probably the last photograph from here because I want to move on now to go up to the mountains. I hope I'll be beyond the clouds there. So it's going to be clear skies. It's going to be overcast today, the whole day until the afternoon. But anyway, I hope it's going to be a little bit more interesting than it is here.
As you can see, I've now changed means of transportation and I'm traveling with my mountain bike. And the more observant of you might say that, well, this is not really a mountain bike, but I can assure you that when it was produced, it was a thoroughbred. That was, of course, around 30 years ago. So because electricity hadn't been invented yet at that time, it doesn't have an electric motor, so all the power it gets is from me, and that's a very little power. Nevertheless, it's also been transformed throughout the years into a city bike with city tires and mud guards and lights and all that stuff, which unfortunately make it a bit heavier. Nevertheless, it will do for today. So what I'm planning to do is do a 10-kilometer route up the mountain, which I will be pushing most of the way instead of riding. And then there I will leave the bike and I'll wander around a little bit on foot. And if I'm lucky, I'll get some nice photographs, maybe even stay for the sunset if it opens up. And that's what the forecast is for now anyway. And then I'll ride back, and this time I will ride back down in the afternoon or in the evening, and that will make the way home much shorter, around 25 minutes instead of 2 hours. So I'm at the very beginning now. I only did around maybe 250 meters and I had to stop to rest. So this is going to be a long 10 kilometers. Anyway, I better start moving then, because otherwise I'll never get there. I just want to formally protest at this point, because there was no forecast for rain today, or rather just a little bit. And at the moment it's been raining for 2 hours. But what can you do? I'm almost out of the steep part now, so I hope in about half an hour I'll be able to stop pushing and start riding the bike for the rest of the way up. So we're now more than 3 hours later, and I'm about 2/3 of the way up. I've been mostly pushing the bike rather than riding it, but it will pay off on the way down, I hope, as long as the brakes hold. But they've been okay for 30 years, so I believe they'll be okay today as well. So now I'm above Erwalder Alm, which is somewhere down there, and as you notice, it's still raining after 3 hours, which is not what the weather forecast was. So after a really miserable 4-hour hike and cycling up here, I finally reached Seebensee. The hike was miserable because it was under continuous rain, which stopped just as I got here, which is a good thing. So now I'm gonna rest a little bit, eat some well-deserved chocolate, and then I'm gonna walk around, try to find a shot. I already took one of my bicycle so that I remember it, and I'm happy at least that the way back is going to be faster and less tiring. So the sun is coming out, actually, a little bit behind the clouds, so I may get some better light in the next hour or so. I don't know, this side of the lake is much more interesting than this one here, because we have the mountains. So I'm probably gonna stick to this side of the lake and see if I can find some interesting foreground to photograph the other side, which is really nice with all these trees, with all these nice autumn colors and the Rocky Mountains at the top. After some fussing about, I found a composition that I think works very well, and the only problem now is that the wind has picked up, and so the lake now has some little waves, so there is no reflection whatsoever in the water. So what I'm going to do is use a polarizer and also a neutral density filter to make the exposure longer and flatten the water. But before I do that,
I'm gonna show you what I'm photographing with a little video. So now it's a little bit, it's 16 by 9, so it's not exactly the same exposure that I am doing because it's been cut. So on the photograph, the peaks are not cut. I have the peaks up to the up to where they finish. Plus I have some sky, very little sky though, and I have this rock a little bit more also at the bottom. I was a bit skeptical about this rock. I didn't know if I should include it or not, or just keep the wood there, this tree trunk. But for now I'm gonna keep both of them, and we'll see how it turns out. So I've already taken one exposure before, just before I started this video. So the wind wasn't as strong, so I have one with relatively flatter water. But now, as I said, I'm gonna do an exposure with a polarizer and a neutral density filter. Another point is that I am bracketing because the sky is too bright. Actually, it's 2 stops brighter than the rest of the image. So let's take on the polarizer and the neutral density filter. And immediately when the wind picked up, the temperature dropped dramatically. So I had to wear this again. I had to leave my bike a little bit further away. I've got my phone and my wallet in there, so hopefully nobody grabs it and makes a run for it, because then it's gonna be a long walk down. I came to the other side of the lake looking for a shot from this side. I was thinking that maybe the small bridge, I don't know if it's visible in the picture, there's a small bridge on the other side that might make a nice picture with the yellow trees behind it and the mountain in the background, but it's nothing special. Maybe it's because we don't have any reflections at the moment at the lake because of the wind, but whatever the reason, it's not really anything worth photographing. So we have a light layer of a thin layer of cloud which obscures the sun. It gives me a nice soft light which allows me to photograph trees, etc. But I don't think we're going to have any nice sunset or anything like that. It is opening up very, very slowly, but I don't think it's going to open up enough to give us a nice sunset. So I'm thinking probably it's time now for me to head back, because there were some parts of the route which I will probably have to push again. So I might as well go a bit earlier and get home a bit earlier. It's what can I say? Has it been a nice day? Well, the beginning was very nice, and the end was nice. The middle part, where I was just working in the rain for 4 hours, was miserable. So we didn't make that many photos today, but okay, we've said that before. Sometimes it's not always about the photograph. You get out, sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. So with this, I'll bid you farewell for today. I don't think I'm going to make any B-roll because I just want to get home at this point on the way back. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. In the end, I decided to come and try to take another photograph. I'm actually at the place where I was in the morning because it cleared out relatively to the morning now, and I wanted to see if I'm lucky and get a photograph of the peaks with some nice light behind them on the clouds. For now it hasn't materialized, but it's I've still got another 20 minutes until sunset, so I'm gonna stay here and wait. Maybe if I'm lucky there will be a clearing in the clouds and the sun will break through from over there and will hit the clouds behind the mountain peaks from below and will really light them up. So okay, that's the best case scenario. chances of it happening 5%, but it's worth waiting for 20 minutes. So I've set up the shot, and all I'm doing now is waiting. If it works out, it works out. Otherwise, I'm going home. Well, I knew from the start that it was a long shot, and it didn't happen. So the sun is probably, actually now exactly is the time that the sun is setting, and no red skies, no orange clouds, nothing. I took 2 photographs from 2 locations. I mean, we do have some detail in the sky now, but anyway, it's not the spectacular shot that I hoped for. So this time it is indeed good night, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.